Yeah, a lot, right? I mean, we got the schedule quickly before it went public, so there wasn't a whole lot of time to plan. The feedback, as soon as it came out, as you would expect, was through the roof. I mean, just unbelievable response to Messi coming into market. I think the reality for us is we want as many people from Kansas City as possible to be able to go to this game. If it's in our building at Children's Mercy Park, which we love to death, it would have been unrealistic for the amount of fans I described. Imagine like Taylor Swift coming to Children's Mercy Park. Just the demand for tickets and the price would have been out of reach for the majority of folks. So this allows us to just cast a wide net, and everybody that wants to come see the game hopefully has an opportunity to do so.
How does this affect the season ticket holders?
Yeah, that was our first priority, right? We handpicked their seats. We wanted to make sure it was like for like or better going into GEHA at Arrowhead, and we did that. And so I think they'll have great seats there. Certainly it's not Children's Mercy Park, but ultimately that was the first concern with us, was making sure season ticket holders were taken care of.
Have you had feedback from season ticket members?
It's been an hour, and I've been running around, so I have not seen any as of yet. I'm sure we have, but stay tuned for that. I'll get back to you on that one.
Will you get any kind of competitiveness just a different venue and something you're not used to?
Yeah, I don't think so. It's a good question. Our guys are going out, or they've gone out already, excuse me, just to walk it from a team side, making sure, I mean, it's all the little stuff, right? You need an extra medical tape before the game. Where do you go? Who do you call? All those things. So I think we're thinking through it. It's just different, but yeah, I think we'll be fine.
How crazy is it for the league? You guys aren't the only team. Chicago played at Soldier, moved at Soldier, then they didn't end up playing. But how crazy a moment is this for the league that you've got a player like that forcing these kind of decisions?
I've never seen anything like it. I've been in the league for 14 years now. There's no comparable to a player with respect to Beckham and some of those guys. It's not on the same atmosphere as I've seen. So you look at Charlotte, Atlanta, Chicago. It's crazy the amount of demand for Messi, and so I think this game. By the way, their roster is pretty good outside of Messi, I might add. And so I think you'll see. I think when he goes into markets, you'll see a lot of teams that are having this discussion internally, at least.
Is there any? Obviously, there's no guarantee he won't get hurt or anything like that. But what has the MLS said about their using him, especially if you're going to be moving to venues like this? I mean, it's kind of like the NBA deals with this when they rest guys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You want to have the star power there. Has there been any guarantees about Messi availability from anyone?
No, I mean, it is what it is, right? I think, listen, I worked in the NBA for a long time, and it was the same deal. You're talking about LeBron coming and, Steph Curry and all those guys, and ultimately things happen, right? People get hurt. They decide to rest. I think it's a time of the year where rest won't be a factor, but listen, he's a human being and he plays soccer. He's pretty good at it, but he's not prone to lack of injury, and so that would be, obviously, I think the one that would keep him out.
I think you guys have talked about the Manchester United game at Arrowhead being a big catalyst for soccer in the region. With the World Cup coming up, Copa America, just how do you view this? This is the first time back for any of those. We'll be back at Arrowhead. How do you guys view this as a catalyst for more growth in the region beyond what you guys have experienced?
It was part of the discussion. I think it's a huge moment for soccer in this region, which I feel like every time I talk to you guys, there's another huge soccer moment, which is a good thing. It'll be the first match at Arrowhead since 15, I believe. It will set the MLS record in Missouri for sure for this game. The Man U game was just over 50,000. We expect to be above that as well. And so I think you've got this followed by Copa, followed by the Club World Cups next year, and then obviously in 26 we're leading into the World Cup. So yeah, pretty steady drumbeat as we track forward.
You talked about the pricing point of the idea of putting a player with the star power in the pool inside Children's Mercy Park is different than Arrowhead. What is there any assurances that you guys have that tickets will be at an affordable level for? I think we saw like FC Dallas has a preseason match with Messi, and it's $100 to get in the door for that. Is there assurances that you have that those tickets will be at an affordable price for those who are non-season ticket holders?
Yeah, they're starting at $65 to get in the game. What happens from there with fans and secondary obviously is out of our control to some extent, but we want to make sure there's an affordable entry point for anyone who wants to come.
The point about the Manchester United game, I'm seeing some people already on social media saying...
It's my first game, by the way, just for...
Was that right?
Facts, yeah.
Well, then you can speak to it maybe because I've seen some people say, look, you lose your home field advantage. You're going to be catering to people that are not sporting fans, that are just maybe either casual fans or just fans of Messi. Can you talk back to maybe how that relates to how big of a moment that was when Manchester United came? Because that was a similar situation.
For sure. I mean, listen, you got to remember that point in time. We hadn't even gone on sale for Children's Mercy Park seats yet, right? And so that went on sale the Monday after at that time we were averaging 5,000 people a game, right? You get 55,000 in for Man U. Now, we're also not naive to think that we were the drivers of that at the time as the Wizards, but it was a huge moment that put us on a scale that we had not been on. The visibility, the access that we got from media around it. Listen, I think you've got to take it, when you have big opportunities, you got to take big bets. And I think for us, this is one of those moments where let's go for it. Let's showcase who we are in Kansas City. Let's fill that building. Yes, the world will be Argentina kits in this color, which I won't talk about behind me here. For sure, we're not naive, but I think you'll have a lot more of this color in there in sporting blue. And I think ultimately, listen, that venue is loud, as we've seen from the NFL. We expect it to be loud, cheering for Sporting Kansas City.
And I don't think there's many trips to the Midwest that Messi's making this year, schedule-wise. Do you guys have much of a handle on what type of economic impact, or at least in terms of, will there be a lot of tourists coming to town for this game because of the move?
We expect there to be. I mean, I think this is a regional draw. We'd expect from kind of the 6-state region to get a pretty good influx of folks driving in. It's a Saturday night. I think you'll have people from throughout the region. But listen, I think Kansas City will be the predominant location that people are coming in from. There's going to be a huge amount of demand. And, listen, he's an athlete that he transcends the sport, right? You can talk to casual non-soccer fans. They know who Messi is, right? I think this is probably the one time he will be here. Hopefully MLS Cup would be a good matchup as well down the road. But barring that, it's your one chance to come see him play in Kansas City.
Any other questions? I know they're going to do some upgrades to Arrowhead for the World Cup. Have they completed those?
Not yet. I mean, they're underway, so those won't be in effect for this game, unfortunately.
And I know you said some people had went out and walked through Arrowhead, but have you talked to Peter about that competitive disadvantage maybe?
Peter doesn't know we're moving the game. I'm just kidding. Yeah, Peter's very supportive. I mean, listen, I think if you're the players and the coaches and you can play against the greatest player arguably in the history of the sport in a venue with 70,000 fans, who wouldn't want to do that, right? I mean, I think the players do not know until today, but the coaching staff was, immediately on board and excited for it.
I know the date itself is the 28th
28th,
anniversary,
yeah.
something like that, of the inaugural match in club history. You guys have planned stuff for the game is out there to kind of showcase history to the amount of maybe new fans that you might be drawing into there?
Yeah, work in progress. We'll have a lot going on for that game, but yeah, it's a cool moment, right? First, obviously the first game was there, right? We played a lot of games in Arrowhead over the years, and so I think it's exciting to get back on the 28th anniversary. Worked out great. I think we'll have a bunch of special things in store for when we get there on April 13th.
Was that part of the plan, or is it lucky scheduling?
I can say part of the plan to make me look smarter, but it just worked out that way.
I hate to call this a warm-up, but is it a good warm-up for the World Cup coming in a couple of years?
For sure. Listen, we've obviously the Chiefs are right in there with us on World Cup discussions and part of it, and they've got Matt Kenny who out front on Arrowhead events for them is on the board. So this is great for them to get a huge event like this. They've got a Copa match this year as well, so they got plenty of opportunity. But yeah, I think these are great warm-ups. I think there's an appropriate term for it to get used to it. It's different than an NFL game. Certainly, this is the cadence and the flow of everything, and so I think good opportunity before we get into 2026.